Hello guys, this is Riyadeshwa. You're back on my channel Crux of English, and today we are going to talk about the continuance of the series that we are making on the modern writers, and today we are going to talk about Graham Greene. Alright, the first thing that you need to remember, let's talk about some personal facts about Graham Greene first. The first thing is that he tried to commit suicide. Now, you would say that it's not very important, it's not an important fact about Graham Greene, but you need to remember that he was a writer that had a really personal influence on his writing. So there are a lot of writings that you would see, a lot of books by Graham Greene where suicide is the main theme of the book. So it's important for you to know why suicide was a theme in Graham Greene. Now, you should remember that he was the editor of Times. Once he became the editor of Times, he was a spy in Sierra Leone in World War I. He was an intelligence officer in Sierra Leone in World War I. Another thing that you need to remember is B. Willy Winkle. It's a movie that he wrote a review on. Graham Greene wrote a review on Willy Winkle, and he was actually jailed for it in Mexico. In Mexico, he was jailed for writing a review on Willy Winkle. He was a Catholic atheist. He divided his own books into entertainment and novels, and in entertainment he divided his books into thriller and mystery. Another thing that you need to remember about him is he talked a lot about the political conflict. Now, the most important thing that is about Graham Greene, which is asked a lot in UGC Net, is where his novels are set. Okay, his novels, every novel of his has a different setting in a different country, or there is some importance of the setting, and the questions that are asked most from Graham Greene is where which novel is set. But these are the personal details about Graham Greene that you need to remember. The first is that he tried to commit suicide. He was a spy in Sierra Leone in World War I. He wrote a review of the movie called Willy Winkle, and he was jailed for it in Mexico. He is by religion, he is a Catholic atheist, and he became the editor of Times. He talks a lot about political conflict, and he has divided his works into entertainment and novels, and entertainment is still further divided into thriller and mystery. Now let's talk about his works. The first work of his that we are going to talk about is Man Within. Just give me a second. The first work is Man Within. This came out in 1919. The title is taken from Religio Laici, written by Thomas Brown. Alright, Man Within came out in 1919. Title taken from Religio Laici, and Religio Laici is written by Thomas Brown. The main character is Francis Andrew. This is all you need to remember about Man Within. Man Within was written by Graham Greene. It came out in 1919. The title is taken from Religio Laici, which was written by Thomas Brown, and the main character is called Francis Andrew. Now, the next book that we are going to talk about is Istanbul train. This came out in 1932. It's about an Orient Express that went from Belgium to Istanbul. Istanbul Express 1932 came out in 1932. It's about an Orient Express which went from Belgium to Istanbul. Now this is the most important fact about the book, where the book is set. I am telling you, for Graham Greene, the most important questions that are asked are from what are the settings of his novel, where this book is set. Now the next one that we are going to talk about is England Made Me. England Made Me. The subtitle is Shipwrecked. Shipwrecked is the subtitle. Okay, England Made Me. This is set in Stockholm. You should remember that. Where is the book set? Though the title says England, but the book is set in Stockholm. The main character is Anthony France. The main character is Anthony France. England Made Me is written by Graham Greene. The subtitle of the book is Shipwrecked, and the book is set in Stockholm. The main character's name is Anthony France. That's all you need to remember about England Made Me. Now the next book that we are going to talk about is Bright and Rock. Bright and Rock is a thriller. Bright and Rock is a kind of candy that is sold at seaside, and the main character, which is known as Hale, is killed using Bright and Rock. The candy is poisoned, and because of that Hale dies. So this book is a thriller written by Graham Greene. The main character is Hale, and Bright and Rock is used as a weapon against Hale to kill her. You should remember that. That's been asked before in UGC NET, that Hale is the character which is used using Bright and Rock candy. What was Bright and Rock? It was a type of candy that was sold at seaside. The next book that we are going to talk about is Confidential Agent. Now आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो Confidential Agent. We have talked about how Graham Greene himself was an intelligence officer and he was a spy. So there are a few books of his where the main character is shown as an agent or a spy. So Confidential Agent is about a French lecturer whose name is Mr. D, and he's a spy. Now if it's asked, this was set in France as written because he's a French lecturer. This was set in France. Now the third book, the next book that we are going to talk about is The Third Men. This book is set in Vienna. Please do remember where all the books of Graham Greene are set. This is the most important thing about Graham Greene. Okay, The Third Man is set in Vienna. That's all you need to remember about Third Man. The next is Power and Glory. This is the most famous book of Graham Greene and you must have heard about it. Power and Glory. This was written in 1940. The earlier title was Labyrinth Ways, and the title of the book is taken from Lord's Prayer. Lord's Prayer as in the prayer of Jesus Christ. The setting is in Mexico. The book is about a character called Whiskey Priest. Now, Whiskey Priest is a character who's a Catholic priest, and he tries to spread the ways of Catholicism, but the Catholic religion in this book is banned by the government, but Whiskey Priest is still trying to make recruitments to the Catholic Church, which is not happening. And the most important lesson that you learn from this book is that every priest should have some sort of what would you say, pride, so that he would not go begging around and ask for people to join his own religion. So Power and Glory, written by Graham Greene. This is the most popular book of Graham Greene. The title is taken from Lord's Prayer. It came out in 1940. The setting of the book is Mexico, and the earlier title of the book was Labyrinth Ways. It's about a character called Whiskey Priest. Whiskey Priest is a Catholic priest, and in this book, Catholicism as a religion is banned by the government, but Whiskey Priest is not ready to give up on the religion, and therefore he is begging different people to join his religion, but they are not able to because it's banned by the government. And therefore the lesson that we get from the book is that every priest should have some sort of pride, so that they would not go around begging people for them to join their religion. Now, the next book that we are going to talk about is Ministry of Fear. Ministry of Fear. The setting of the book is London. Okay, and in this book, the ministry, that means the government takes people's secret, everyone's, the general public secrets, and they keep them with them so that they can blackmail people later on. This was inspired by Nazis. Everyone knows about Nazis. So Ministry of Fear, this is set in London, and the book is about a government that keeps tabs on his citizens, on the public, general public, so that they can use their secrets later on to blackmail people. The next book that we are going to talk about is Heart of Matter. Now, this book is about Sierra Leone. I have already told you that Graham Greene was a spy that spied in Sierra Leone during World War I, and this book is written in Sierra Leone. So there would be some kind of personal, semi-autobiographical kind of characteristics about the book that would relate to Graham Greene. Now, the theme of the book is suicide. Again, another personal detail about Graham Greene that we have already discussed about, that he tried to commit suicide. So there are two different matters about this book that are personally related to Graham Greene. The first is that he tried to commit suicide, and the theme of the book is suicide. The second is the setting of the book is Sierra Leone, where Graham Greene had spied before during World War I. The next one that we are going to talk about is End of Affair. End of Affair is set in London, and this is based, there is a character called Sarah who leaves her lover and joins the Jewish community. This is based on a personal story of Graham Greene. The character is based on Lady Catherine, who Graham Greene had an affair with, and he left him for religious purposes. Therefore, he has based the character Sarah, which is present in End of Affair, in the book End of Affair, as a representation of Lady Catherine, because he himself was abandoned by a woman for religious purposes. So does Sarah. Sarah leaves her lover for to join the Jewish community. Now, the next is Quite American. Quite American is set in during America-Vietnam War, and there is a character called Priel who is actually a Vietnamese, but he betrays his own country so that he can make a place with the Americans. The next one that we're going to talk about is Comedian. Now you should only remember about the places that these are set in. Comedian is set in Havana. Okay, Comedian is set in Havana. The End of Affair was set in London. Quite American is set during America-Vietnam War. Comedian is set in Havana. Our Man in Havana is set in Cuba. Our Man is set in Havana is set in Cuba. And the last work, that is Honorary Council, this is set in Paraguay. So these are some of the last books of Graham Greene, which are not that important from the perspective that you have to know the details of the book, but this is the only thing important about this book, End of Affair, is the fact that there's a character, there's one of the main characters which is called Sarah, which is based on the personal story of Graham Greene, which was about Lady Catherine, who Graham Greene had an affair with, and she left him for religious purposes, and so does Sarah, who leaves her lover to join the Jewish community. Now, continuing that, the book called Honorary Council is set in Paraguay. Quite American is set during America-Vietnam War. Our Man in Havana is set in Cuba, and Comedian is set in Havana. Now that was all about Graham Greene. I hope I was able to give you enough information about Graham Greene from net point of view, and I've told you everything that is important about Graham Greene from net point of view, and I hope I was able to make you happy with this session. So please keep watching the whole series of the modern writers, which is going to keep coming. It's a long series because there are a lot of writers. There are a lot of writers in the modern age which are very, very important from net point of view. The next writer we are going to talk about is E.M. Forster, and we'll talk about him in detail as well. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe my channel.